Last week, 8 teams went head-to-head in the national finals. This week, we'll determine which team will be crowned the Tata Crucible Corporate Quiz champion of 2019.
150! Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen. You're watching a phenomenal national final of Tata Crucible. Here today with me, Pick Brain on Times Now. Before we move any further into a very special segment that's coming up for you, it's time for us to quickly take a look at where the teams stand on Crucible Quotient on your screens now. It's going to be a phenomenal final as we progress one round after the other and move into a very special one. Ladies and gentlemen, it's time for us to welcome on stage a gentleman who once was a runner-up of this quiz while he was the COO of Titan. Perhaps it's the only thing he does not like about his current role is that he's not allowed to take part in a Tata Crucible. And therefore, as perhaps India's most novel protest in the world of quizzing, he decided to contribute to our research and ask questions instead in the national final. A wonderful person when it comes to brands, a prolific writer in the media, an author, and the brand custodian of Tata Sons. Ladies and gentlemen, your host for the next frontier, Mr. Harish Bhatt. If you could join us on stage, sir.
So here we go, from the corner office, as this round is called. 3 questions in this round. Can we have the first question on the screen, please? This Tanishq model for the male line of jewelry, branded Aveer, began his career selling locks and almirahs in Godrej and Boys in the late 1970s. A few years later, he switched careers to prepare the project report for a new enterprise, which he eventually went on to lead with distinction. Who is this Tanishq model we are discussing here? Novartis have gone for that question. What's the score you'll go with?
100.
And what is your answer?
Bhaskar Bhatt, who is the outgoing CEO of Titan. We think that he is the model for Tanishq Aveer because Aveer is a men's brand specifically.
Why did you come to that conclusion?
So because he joined Tanishq long back, in the 70s, and he was part of the first project.
So ladies and gentlemen, give them a big, big hand. The answer indeed is Bhaskar Bhatt, who retired as MD of Titan a few days back at the end of September. He was the Tanishq model for the male line of jewelry Aveer, which was launched by Titan. We go on to the next question. Yes, so you have gone for that. I have not yet asked the questions. Please
we'll
go ahead.
For 150.
You've gone for 150?
This is the new kilogram measures, okay. The
what?
new kg measures, kilograms. So they have recalibrated, okay, so the old one has been discarded. So there was a new one which has been worldwide, okay, as a benchmark. So this is the new one.
So that's minus 150. Let me start with my question. On September 13th, 2019, just a month ago, a 16.78 carat yellow diamond worth $2 million was on display in a dark cage at the New York Stock Exchange. And it suddenly disappeared from view. There is an answer there, so I'm stopping my question.
So we'll go with 150.
Yes.
So basically, they were testing a new kind of color which is based out of nanotubes, carbon nanotubes, which is called blacker than black, or it's called Vanta black, yeah? And basically, they painted this diamond with that color. So the color absorbs all light, so nothing comes out of it. right? So since it absorbs all the light, it can vanish, right? So there was a similar project with BMW as well, where they painted BMW XX with this one, where it went all black. So this is a similar experiment that I think a scientist from MIT did.
What a detailed explanation. You're sure of that? Big hand for them, ladies and gentlemen. Absolutely the right answer. The third question is a visual again here on the screen. Seagull plus Gale is a brand strategy, design and experience firm. So we have had TCS Chennai going for it.
We'll go with 150.
Yes.
They were all printed in black and white instead of a color. So to save the carbon footprint or color-wise, the environment, so all these logos were printed in black and white instead of color.
I'm sorry, that's minus 150. This is the ranking of the world's simplest brands. In an increasingly complex world, there is great demand for such brands which provide transparent, direct and simple experiences that make people's lives better. So the world's simplest brands. Thank you, Giri, and thank you, teams. Best wishes for the rest of the quiz.
Can we have a round of applause for him, young friends? And we move on to the penultimate frontier of our game here today. It's time for the teams to do a fair amount of analytics as we move on from data to answers. Here it comes. Four questions appearing on your screen, one after the other, and lateral thinking is what is required. As we go to the first one, overall answer matters on your screen. Take a look. Here it comes. On my right, Hanning Motors from Vadodara have gone for it. 100 or 150?
100.
100. Yes?
The title music which was being read,
The music that was being played, yeah?
yeah, it was the theme music for Chariots of Fire.
The theme music for Chariots of Fire.
Yeah. Banco Santander is a Spanish bank, and it has to do with something with World War II, where it's linked to a team which escaped from the Germans. I'm not able to put it more than this.
He really went far and wide, but he'll get himself a minus 100. There's someone's on the buzzer. Tata Consultancy. Go ahead, TCS. Strategy.
150.
He's playing the 150.
We'll say the connection is Boris Johnson.
Explain.
He worked for the Times, I think, as a journalist.
He worked as a journalist for the Times.
And that's the opening ceremony of the London Olympics. And he was the mayor of London when the Olympics in 2012 were held in London.
That's Mr. Bean at the opening ceremony of the London Olympics, okay?
The rest, he must have worked in Santander, but the connect is Boris Johnson.
150 is what they played. 150 is what they get. TCS! Here's the next one on your screen. Here we go. On my left, Tata Consultancy Services.
So we'll go with a 150.
Playing a 150. TCS.
The connect that we are making is Sara Lee, Godrej Sara Lee.
You go with Sara Lee.
Yeah.
Okay.
And Godrej, of course, Sara Lee was part of it. And it's also, it used to own Brill Cream. And
Brill Cream.
Yeah, Brill Cream, and the song was Kishore Kumar. So Kishore Kumar was once the model for Brill Cream. So Brill Cream, Sara Lee, and that's basically the connect that we are making.
Minus 150. Someone's gone for it, and this time it's Savoy Fair going for it. Will they play a 150?
We'll play a 150.
We'll play a 150.
We'll say the connection is the NCPA, the National Center for Performing Art.
Overall answer.
Yep.
150. Oh, put your hands together. A cracker of an answer here today. Life gets tougher as we move towards the close. Here's the next one coming on your screen now. They're giving it a shot. Novartis.
100 points.
100. He's not playing a 150.
Yeah. So jockey was the undergarment that the Apollo 11 landings, the astronauts used. Motorola provided the machinery for when they landed in Apollo 11, right? IBM and Zero Halliburton, I'm not really sure, but the connect is the Apollo 11 landings in 1969.
100 to Novartis. Absolutely brilliant stuff. As we go to the next one on screen now. Tata Consultancy Services want to give it a shot. Deep thought, TCS. 100 or 150?
100.
100 this time. He doesn't want to lose turf completely. Yes?
They all have to do with economic difficulty and things like that. So Scrabble, the guy was unemployed while coming up with the invention. Dr. Pepper is also some story like that. So they're all adversity. The people came up with these products while...
Minus 100. Well, ladies and gentlemen, the answer that I was looking for, these are all brands owned by different companies in different geographies. A remarkable final unfolding with everyone putting in their best foot. But we need to take a very quick break. On the other side, all the action from the next frontier. Stay with us, back in just a moment. Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen. You're watching a remarkable national final unfold here on Times Now. We're going to move into the final frontier here today. It's time for us to pick action on the final frontier of Tata Crucible for this year, for the corporates. On your screen, smart decisions on the go. Here it comes. Nothing appears on your screen. I read out the question and you will take a smart decision on where you want to stop me. 100, 150, your choice of scores. 7 questions remaining. If you're going to get started, hands on the buzzer, the first one. A lot of these are stories that I'm going to narrate to you with the power of storytelling. You got to figure out from the story and stop me anywhere you want. The first one. In the early 1970s, the government of Singapore, led by Prime Minister Lee Kuan Yew, had a great idea. In order to attract investment to the little island nation, they benchmarked the idea to something in India. They invited an Indian to advise them on how to be world class. Tata Consultancy. Yes, 100 or 150?
150.
150, yes, go on.
They wanted to start an airlines, and at the time, the state of the art was Air India, and they invited J.R.D. Tata to understand how an airline should be run.
150. 150 on Air India. Here's the next one. They were first used in India around 1914 by the Chinese who were living in India. An attempt to convert them into a modern version was done by the Nibankar Agricultural Research Institute in the late 90s. The basic design of this in its manual form and the electric form has largely remained unchanged. The design is called the Meerut body design. TCS are now taking on everything. 100 or 150? 100. Okay, still playing it carefully. Go on.
Rickshaws.
The rickshaws in India. Oh. Which later became electric rickshaws, etc. Put your hands together. 100! Here's the next one. He served as Prime Minister of the United Kingdom for 12 years. He also served as the Chancellor of the Exchequer 4 times. In recent years, his statue has been repeatedly damaged or defaced, specifically with red paint, simply because people believe it paid for with the blood of the match girls. 100 or 150 TCS. Tense moments in the final.
100.
100 does not want to play a 150. Go on.
Churchill.
Winston Churchill, minus 100. Continuing with the question. These blood of the match girls were with reference to the 1888 match girls strike. What other red item is this person famous for? They're giving it a shot. It's called kata. 100 or 150?
Okay, we'll play 150.
150, okay, nothing to lose. Go on.
We'll say this is the budget box.
The budget box, the red color box. As Chancellor of the Exchequer, put your hands together. 150! Well, the red box that was used in the budgets was started by him in the 19th century. Nirmala Sitharaman, of course, walked on to become a finance minister who did not carry that red box famously enough. Here's the next one. This concept existed as early as the 15th century and is not a modern practice as people think. It was prominent in the 17th and 18th centuries when people had to access workforce from the rural areas or the hinterlands as they called it then. The concept was used specifically by the English and American textile industry, the shoemaking industry, and the lock-making trade. It was very practical then to do these given the conditions of the world. The practice was then called the putting out system. Hanning have gone for it.
Working at home.
Working from home.
Working from home.
15th century.
Yeah.
Put your hands together. 100 to Hanning Motors. Work from home is not a modern concept. These were people who could not travel and they were asked to create things at home and supply it. One of the early patrons of work from home in India, not necessarily an industry we would patronize, was the beedi business. They would actually allow people to roll the beedis in their houses and to supply them to the manufacturers for two reasons. Women were not allowed to go to work, so they could work from home, and labor force were available cheaper and in a more efficient manner. As we go to the penultimate question, hands on that buzzer. In the early days, these used to be purchased from Harrison Road near Howrah. Among all the colors that was available, the one with purity was chosen. The price was 2 rupees 50 paisa. From 1958, they were made in bulk in large numbers and sold by the Gandhiji Prem Nivas. What is this that is today being trademarked that I am describing? No artists are giving it a go. 100 or 150?
150.
Playing on a 150, they seem to have their math in place.
Yeah.
What am I describing?
So this is Mother Teresa's blue sarees. The one. So Gandhi Prem Nivas is in Titagarh. It's a leprosy center. So they now make those sarees, the ones with the blue pallu, right? So that is Mother Teresa's saree.
The product in question is Mother Teresa sarees.
Yeah.
Put your hands together for them. Final question here today, hands on the buzzer. It originated in 2011 from a project in a high-tech strategy that the German government was coming up with. Hanning Motors on my right are giving it a shot. 100 or 150?
150.
Okay, 150.
Industry 4.0.
Oh, the term Industry 4.0. We've picked 4 elements to drive Tata Crucible this year and called it R 4.0. Ladies and gentlemen, put your hands together. Superbly played on the final one. One final look at a scorecard. Ladies and gentlemen, Novartis, the national champions. And ladies and gentlemen, it's time for us to congratulate our wonderful champions here today. And it's truly our pleasure and privilege to have with us a very senior member of the Tata fraternity, the CEO and MD of Tata Power, ladies and gentlemen, Mr. Praveer Sinha. If you could join us on stage, sir.
There is only one journey, and that's the journey of learning. in life. So life itself is a journey, and the learning of life is what drives us. So if we have a passion in anything, which includes quizzing, this is what we need to do, and we need to do it with full commitment. And that's what will drive India of the future. That's what will drive this country to great height.
Well, ladies and gentlemen, after that remarkable journey across the length and breadth of this country, a team that surfaces in the national final for the first time emerges a national champion. Two extraordinary teams giving them a run for their money, TCS from Chennai and Savoy Fair from Goa. But at the end of the day, standing tall with no negatives, our national champion for this year was Abhishek and Subrata Das from Novartis. I'm sure you enjoyed watching these wonderful episodes of Tata Crucible that we brought to you. We, of course, will be back with you in the next couple of months with the next edition of Campus Crucible. But till then, from me, Pig Brain, from all of us here today at Times Now, you were watching Tata Crucible. Thank you for tuning in. Keep reading, keep quizzing, and make this country a knowledgeable one from where we stand today. On that note, from me, Pig Brain, good evening and goodbye.